All right, Boring Review Nation.
Boring.
I knew you were gonna stop me.
I have to
stop me.
Stubborn.
But I wanted to say it because I saw a couple of the solo videos you did, and it slipped up. I was like, he just said boring reviews. I don't get to get it out.
It's okay for me. It's not okay for
It's not okay for me. Anyway, we're back with another review. Nick, Gabe, and you know what? Normally, when we review movies, and I get your point now, it's like, okay, we got this long list of movies we're going to review. But there was no doubt after our last review what the next movie we had to review was. Gangs of Wasseypur 2. Because it left me wanting more. I'm like, no, I gotta know what's happening. I gotta know what's happening with the story.
I feel so fulfilled now that I've watched it.
Yes, now I feel fulfilled. I'm better. Okay.
It's like doing like a rite of passage thing. Like, you know, as Indian film reviewers, we're in the club now.
We're in the club. I'm not as mad. Okay. Public service announcement here. I forgive Faisal. I won't even call him Fredo Man anymore. I forgive Faisal, okay? He redeemed himself. Holy cow, did he redeem himself this movie.
All right. So we reacted to the trailer for this one. We reviewed the first one. Obviously, we've watched the second one. And obviously, we couldn't wait much longer after we reviewed and reacted to the trailer. So
had to put it out.
We got you covered. And I was told by someone in the comments weeks ago that the first one's good, the second one's even more intense, more violent, and man alive, it definitely is.
I've never seen anything like that one scene, and you know which one I'm talking about. That's where he gained my respect. But I've never seen anything like that. Holy cow.
So we end up on the first one with Sardar, the father, being killed and having it with his mistress, and Definites involved as a little kid.
I love what they did, that they went back to it. That's how they started the movie, giving us that same scene, which we already know what's going to happen, and it was an emotional gut punch in the first one, but they kind of remind you.
And they kind of gave it from a little bit of a different perspective, right? Not much, but a little bit. And so it just carries off with that, and they're talking to Faisal like, dude, you're supposed to be with your dad, and he kind of feels bad. He doesn't portray that he feels that bad about it. He's very like, you know.
This is the aftermath now.
He's a smoker. I mean, he's just like, you know, whatever, I'll just go get high or whatever. But Danish is ticked about it, obviously, apparently ticked. And I wasn't sure with his sons if they were going to carry on with the family business. Because you can... In this kind of storyline, you could easily have a few of them be like, no, I'm going to be the complete opposite of what you are because I don't want that life.
Right.
And that's not how it was. I mean, Danish, he was a skinnier guy, but I mean, I kind of connected to him because my family is actually Danish, so it kind of worked out there. But he, right off the bat, I'm not having it. And so what does he do right away? Because I forget, he does something right away. Man, I just watched this. He does something. And then he goes and turns himself in.
He immediately goes, okay, so he knows his dad got set up. He knows that there were supposed to be people there to protect him. He knows that his brother, by the way, ended up dropping the ball because his friend told him to smoke. So he said that was a setup. He saw everything. And we call him Sonny because he reminds me of Sonny from The Godfather because he's a hothead. He goes after Sardar's like main henchman, all right? And... like broad daylight in front of everybody, I don't care, and he goes and he lights him up. Done. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I've noticed about these movies. These guys don't. There's no in night. There's no incognito. No, they go and do it themselves, and they do it in broad daylight, so everybody knows who did it.
And do it.
And he wants to go to jail, so he goes to jail. He turns himself in, and then he's coming out. And I'm thinking to myself, just like his dad went to jail when his dad went to jail, and then came out, he was the man because everybody knew what he had done, and that's really where his name started quote unquote ringing out in the streets. But what happens when he gets released?
He gets killed right away. Right away. I did not see that coming. I'm like, no.
I was 2 seconds away from turning off the movie at this point because I had my two favorite characters gone immediately.
But that's how you do it. I mean, you set the tone that you don't know who's going to be safe. You don't know where the story's going, and so then you're like, okay, who's left? Who we got? We got two younger brothers, really young. Definite. He seems to not even be on their side because. You know, his mom was the one that
set him up. I thought it was going to be one of the henchmen that was going to take over.
Right. You would think so, but, I mean, they had so much respect for Sardar that it didn't seem like they were going to mess around with that. And so I'm like, the only one we have is Faisal, and you can't find this guy, and he might be sorry what happened to his father, but he's handling it a different way. And then when you see Danish get killed, and then I noticed it when Sardar got killed, one of the guys that helped out the Sultan guy. I was like, isn't that the guy that Faisal's always hanging around with and goofing around with on the motorbike and whatnot and the bicycle? And I'm like, no, it must just be someone that looks like him, you know? And so then Faisal goes, because this guy just got, he won like an election or something like that, right?
He ends up winning, he doesn't go into, Faisal, I should say, doesn't go into hiding, but he kind of, he falls into a depression because he wasn't that close with his dad, but he was really close to his brother. So when his brother gets killed, Mom's really devastated. Mom even challenges him. She's like, "They killed your father and your brother.
How are you gonna let that happen?
How are you gonna let that happen?" Yeah. Like, Mom's a gangster. These women raise gangsters. They're like, I didn't raise. What did she say? I didn't raise.
She said something like wussies or something.
A wussy. I raised a killer. Like, what? Ooh. What are you gonna do? And he's like, Mom, just leave me alone. Leave me alone. I was like, wow, this guy is like. So now he's starting to realize, like, wow, my best friend did set up my dad. And he mentions they're laughing at me in the streets. I get no respect. He's talking to somebody, telling them, everything he's going through. So his best friend wins the election. Of whatever this position is, where it has something to do with the coal mines. Maybe you're like the head of the union for the coal mines. Let's put it that way. I still don't understand that position. So he wins the election, and that night he's having a huge festival, and somebody says to Faisal, so and so won. He's like, I can't believe it. And he was like, I'm going to go congratulate him. He said, congratulate him? What do you mean congratulate? He got your dad case. He's still my friend. I'm going to go congratulate him. So he walks down there, no henchmen, by himself, very
hey, let's go have
unassuming. He's like, hey, man, let's go. Yeah, he's like, and his friend, knowing that you got his dad and his brother killed, you're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. His friend.
Yeah, so when I'm watching that part, before you say what happens next, I'm thinking, please don't tell me that Faisal is going to not really care about what happened to his dad and his brother too much, and he's going to join with Ramadir or something like that. And with this guy, I'm like, this is not the movie I want to watch. I want to see There Will Be Blood.
Dude, I thought it was going to be Fredo Part 2. Only in this one, Fredo survives, because in the
Fredo 2, it gets even worse.
It gets even worse. Because in The Godfather, Fredo doesn't survive. Michael gives him the death kiss. I know it was you, Fredo. I know it was you. Okay?
Classic scene.
But I was like, what is going on? I was thinking the same thing. You already know. It's been confirmed this guy got your dad killed, and you're still going to go congratulate him? So he goes, and they're smoking hashish or whatever. And then it was so subtle. It was so subtle.
He just grabs him.
He says, here, toke on this. So when he tokes on it, all of a sudden he just puts his hand around him, and he grabs a knife and boom, pokes him. Whoa, that was raw.
Then he pulls him forward, and all you see is just the waterworks, but it's not water.
That was a beautiful shot, by the way, with all the blood
he's
gushing out.
Decapitating this dude.
Oh, wow, that was
goes on for like
most
5
amazing
minutes.
scene. Because at first I thought he was just poking him like out of anger. You see people like sad people a lot. That's what I thought he was doing. I didn't realize that he was.
And he's doing it not in broad daylight. It's at nighttime, but he's doing it in a public place.
Oh gosh, it was the. And here's the best part. This is what I'm saying. Culturally, there's something a little different from this and that. The only thing I can equate it to in American films was what was the movie Denzel plays Bumpy Johnson? Frank Lucas. American. It was
American Gangster.
American Gangster, where he shoots that other gangster for everybody and just walks out because everybody in the neighborhood knows who he is. Because these guys are commit all kinds of crime. And everybody just like, there's no law basically in Wasseypur. And in any event, he chops this guy's head off. It's enough to do what you did. You left the body there to decapitate it. But then, where he really went, for me, he turned from Fredo to now he's Faisal. I'll call you by your name. He's Godfather Faisal. What'd he do with the head?
He puts it in a jar and he delivers it.
It was like a bag or a jar, but he delivers it to his mother. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. That is like, listen, that is gangster beyond gangster. Like, wow.
And then it's just like, it's a quick shift where, okay, the narrator's talking. Yeah, it's been some time, but at that point, everyone feared Faisal. Everyone knew who he was. He had definitely taken over from where his father left off, and it was his. And luckily for us, most of the movie is Faisal's story.
Right.
And the different things that happens, and then you get... And it's great. I love this Faisal character. I liked him a lot more than he did in the first one. I felt like they were building
I like him
towards
now.
some,
Definitely like him now.
and I'm glad they were building. I mean, he's still a skinny guy.
Yeah.
He really is.
And as a matter of fact, there's one scene which I love because they don't know he actually killed that other arms dealer. So they are all thinking that the only body he's ever caught was that friend or whatever. So at one point,
his own men are clowning.
There's
him.
henchmen because he's small, he's skinny, he's unimposing. There's one guy like talking all this mess about him, but he's part of the gangsters crew. So he walks up very nonchalantly, pulls out his gun, bam, shoots him in front of everybody, puts the gun back away. All right, guys, let's go. But he's so. I think that the thing that's so cool about his character is he's so calm when he does things.
You cannot
predict
scary.
Where he's at. That is the scary part. He's Norman Bates calm, okay?
And I feel bad for the woman that he falls in love with because there's no way she can predict the way he's feeling just because he is so under the influence at all times.
Maybe that's what it is. But he's super calm all the time.
But then the movie goes into a place that I really enjoyed where you get to meet the other brothers as they're growing up. So we get introduced more of Definite. And, I mean, he is a wild child. This guy, to me, is the closest to Sardar as far as his kids go.
Out of all his kids, yes.
And I would have, this is a small pet peeve of mine, but I would have rather in the first one when we meet Definite, them casted a kid character with a little more attitude because that's definitely what he grows into.
Right.
I mean, this guy, and the actor, I gotta look at this guy's name. But tell me what you liked about Definite. Well, I'm looking at this actor's name because he's awesome.
Definite was cool. One of the things I liked about Definite was how he carried himself. He was always very, very, very composed. And he did walk around with that sense of arrogance, just like his dad did, where no one could touch me. Just that confidence. He exuded that confidence.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And everybody knew, listen, that's, even though it's his half-son, or not half-son, but that's Sardar's son. He's also a Khan, and in Wasseypur, Khans get respect. Nobody would mess around with Definite because they all know what my boy Faisal. I'm gonna call him his name from now on because Faisal's a gangster. So everybody fears Faisal. So they come in and say, "Listen, your brother Definite did this," and he laughs. He's like, "That's funny." Your brother Definite did this. He's like, "Oh, did he really? Oh, this kid Definite." To the point where at some point people are complaining like, "Yo, he's running around town acting crazy." He's like, "All right, I'll talk to him." And he brings him in the fold and says, "Look, you got to calm down a little bit," because he didn't care. He was a loose cannon. I love Definite. My favorite character.
And you're right because at first I didn't really like. I think Faisal was still pretty awesome in Sardar.
Faisal's awesome too.
I didn't like Definite because in my mind he helped his mom take out his dad. And I get it. There's more the mom than the kid.
Right.
The kid was just a pawn in it. But the actor Zayshawn Quadri, who played Definite, he did such a great job in this role that you cannot help but like this guy because he just, I don't know if it's charisma or what it was, but I mean, this guy just exuded, just like the Sardar character and the actor.
Factor. He has the it factor.
100%. I mean, he's there. He's got girlfriends. He doesn't care about when he leaves the girlfriends. He's got to go this and do that. He just wants to do what he wants to do. He wants people to respect him. And at the same time, there's certain parts where he's helping his brothers take someone out, and he's making mistakes. I mean, he's not the perfect guy who knows how to do everything perfectly. Right. He's making mistakes, but he's got that ruthless factor to catch up for it. Anyways, we get introduced to his friend Tangent. We get introduced to his half-brother Perpendicular. Oh, man.
This kid is out of control.
Perpendicular. And he gets the name because someone's teaching him how you're supposed to take someone out to a certain degree using a certain thing, where what perpendicular means. And so they started calling him that.
Right.
This guy was a trip. 14 years old.
Best part I love about Perpendicular. This kid, again, because they carry that name and everybody fears this Khan name, he runs around town and does whatever he wants. Now, he goes to school, but he does not care. He's robbing people. He's like, it's funny. He's walking around, and you've seen the movie Friday, right? You know how when they all have their chains out or whatever, and they're like, Debo's coming, and they're like, that's who this kid was, because he's walking, and then the merchants are like, oh, there's whatever his real name is, not Perpendicular. There's Debon. Let's call it Debon, I think his real name was.
It's like, yeah, Debois.
Debois, something like that. He's like, there goes Debois. Hide all your goods, because, he's going to come order a whole bunch of stuff and not pay for it. That's who he was.
Sardar had some kids, man.
This guy was a gangster. He goes and robs the store. It wasn't supposed to be comedic, but it was so funny to me, and I love this part. He goes and robs the store with his friends. Then he gives a loot to his friend, go drop it off at my house because he knows he's gonna get accused of it. Here come the cops, they search him, he has nothing. He gets back home or whatever. When he's home, the shop owner is there. And the shop owner says, Mrs. Sadar, no disrespect, boys will be boys. I just wanted to ask for my keys back because when they robbed the store, he took the keys to the store.
Because this dude was terrified.
And then he goes back in this room, goes through all the loot. Oh, here's the keys. Gives the keys to the guy. He throws the keys to him nonchalantly, like, yeah, I robbed you, and what? Here's your keys back. It was...
And he has no problem going back to that square the next day. I mean, this guy...
was awesome.
They did a great job of thinking about this character. He's 14. He's going to be immature, so let's just write that into his character.
Especially when you have that kind of power.
Oh, man. I mean... He can do whatever he wants. He bleaches his hair because he wants to be like one of the actors in a movie.
Right.
And he's just like so excited about his bleached hair, not even paying attention that he's with some pretty questionable company.
Right.
And then I think that's who Tangent was, right? It was his buddy who's running trying to get Faisal when the Sultan comes. The Sultan guy, man, they got
Sultan.
When Sultan, and again, spoilers. When Sultan takes out Perpendicular with the brick by the railroad station. Yeah, the train yard, sorry. I mean, the camera just follows the brick the entire time with the thumb. Shot. I'm like, is this going to end? Because I'm still watching it, but holy cow, I can't watch this much more.
Two of the most gruesome shots I've ever seen in all cinema. That train scene, and of course the decapitation. It was crazy. I missed something. I don't know. It must have been missing translation. But wasn't the Sultan the guy from Gangs of Wasseypur Part 1 where he had the meat cleaver when the cops came and they were trying to get the finger and he's like, what finger? You're not taking anything. There's nothing happened. It was the same guy. So if he's defending the dad at one point, why would he flip or switch allegiances? I did not understand that.
I don't know. Because he did have, I think he was like a butcher or something at one point. I remember when they were talking about the Sultan and how he became the new muscle man.
Right.
Maybe was that before Sardar completely turned away from Ramadir when he was the driver?
Maybe. Okay, yeah, maybe. And then
so Sultan thought they were on the same side.
And then after that, Sultan becomes the muscle man at that point.
I don't know. I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, I missed that little part there. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
The Sultan guy was driving me crazy. There are so many other awesome characters that they're not gonna get a lot of love. Were you surprised? I'm not sure if you noticed this, but the main guy from Street was in this movie.
Yeah, we talked about that in Gangs of Wasseypur Part 1. In Part 1, yeah, because he was the guy with the butcher, and he's like, wow, he has such a... It was a minor role, but at that point, when the guys came, the cops, they're trying to investigate, he's like, what finger? Nothing happened here. There was no crime. Blood all over the place. There's a finger on the ground. And then he's like, the cop goes, I need to take that evidence with me. And he puts the meat cleaver right to his throat. And he's like, you're not taking anything. Like, you know what I mean?
But wasn't that crazy to see him in Street first and then watch him in this movie? He did a great job.
One of my favorite parts about Street, I still remember that, is his line, I know all things. Okay? He was such a clown in that movie. And in here, he's menacing. He is truly a threat. And you're like, man, this guy is vicious. He's even worse than the cons.
And he was one of the sons of Ramadir, right?
Yeah, I mean, he killed a 14-year-old kid. I mean...
No, that was Sultan that did that, not the guy from Street. No. The other guy from Street. The main guy from Street.
That was him?
He was the guy who was trying to rip off Faisal. Faisal called him... He had the mustache.
Yeah. And
he was the guy that got blown up.
That's Ramadir's son.
Yes, that's the main guy from Street. Did you realize that?
I didn't.
That's what I meant. Not the professor guy. Yeah, we already talked about.
Okay. So now I see your confusion. No. Yeah,
that's the main.
I'm talking about. I know all things. The
Vicky
professor guy.
That's Vicky.
Please.
Yes.
I did not recognize him. No, I did not recognize him.
Yes, I mean it was cool that this movie, and those were a few actors that we recognized that I didn't recognize from the first one from other movies.
Right.
But I thought he did a really good job. He kind of got played and whatnot.
He was the son of Ramadir, of the boss, of the real Godfather at the time, but he was not a gangster. Just like his dad said, you are a screw up. You're an embarrassment because this would have never happened. None of this would have happened if you could have done a background check. He said a simple background check, and they humiliate him. So he wants to make up, but he really is not a gangster. He doesn't even know how to. But he's a
different son though. He's not the one he was yelling at for messing up. This was a different one that I think was a little more gangster, so to speak. But I mean, he got played by Faisal.
Yeah, he got played by Faisal.
But it was cool to see him in a different role. There's so many different actors in this whole thing. So many different good portrayals. My favorite, like you said, definite.
Definite.
But I want to skip more to the end.
So they kill Perpendicular, like you said, and now that sets off a war between the Khans and Radamir's faction. And he actually doesn't want to fight. He wants peace because he knows there's more money in peace or whatnot. So people are killing people left and right. And then finally he says, listen, he makes the same offer to Faisal that he had made to his father. You know, killing your father, and he even says this, killing your father and killing your brother was just survival for me. I didn't do this because I wanted to do this. If I hadn't killed them, they would have killed me. I have no quarrel with you. We can make money together. Let's stop the senseless violence. And that's what, at that point, I got mad once again at Faisal, because it was like, I don't care what sweet talking he does. You're going to make all the money you want to once you kill him. But this old guy knows how to talk his way out of stuff. So they end the war.
He's a survivor.
They say that the Sultan's like, what? What do you mean we're going to end this war? He wants to go up against the Godfather. Like, these guys just killed so-and-so and did this and retribution for what they did. And we're going to let that, we're going to let that ride. We're going to let that go. And the Sultan's like, yeah, we're going to let it go. Leave Ramad. No one is to touch Faisal, because Faisal goes to jail for what he did. So, okay, a little bit more of a time jump. Now Faisal wins the same election, whatever that elected possession is. He's making money. He's the man. And here comes, again, rise. They get too high, right? They get too high, too big of themselves. And I'm like, man, this old man needs to get his up and comers. I'm so angry.
Well, Faisal doesn't ever win the election. He's going for it, and it's looking really good, but I don't think they ever show whether he wins it or not. He at one point is going to back out of it because it's just too much for him. And if you remember, this is the part that for me, it totally messed me up. And I said, oh, that was really good because that got me. Was when they were rigging the election ticketing areas.
Right.
The poll booths and everything. Because Definite is in there and he's destroying all these poll booths. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing that for the person going against Faisal. This is awesome. Because I started to get worried because he kept having a conversation with Ramadir. Whose side was he on? And even when Definite was in jail and Faisal could have got him out way earlier, and Faisal's like, I'm not worried about that right now. I'm making money right now. Right. Basically, I'm getting distracted with this without caring about him. Ramadir was able to jump in there and get to that point. And so Definite started listening. I was like, oh no, he's going to betray him. Well, then I see him help him try to rig the election, but then you find out, because someone's talking the whole time, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, you find out that it's Definite who set up the election to go against Faisal, so Faisal doesn't win.
Right.
By intimidating all those people. And so I'm like, oh, Definite definitely is now going against him. So for me, I didn't see that happening. And then you had that point with the standoff at that building, right?
Well, wait. You went too far.
I know, because there's that guy who had worked for Ramadir, but now is working for Faisal.
Right, but the first time they went to Definite, they tried to get Definite, and even Faisal even told Definite, they're going to try to turn you on me. And the old guy, Ramadir, says, look, we don't even have to do anything. He tells his son, we can just lay back because these guys are going to kill each other. Definite wants his brother's position. People, they always, the henchmen always want to become the boss. He says, you know why his dad, his grandfather, his brother, they've all died and I'm still standing? He says, because they watch too many Bollywood movies. These guys want to be out in
Okay, real quick, that line though, what actor they mentioned as a big time actor? Who did they mention? You remember?
Oh, he said
Salman Khan.
Salman Khan, yeah.
So all those haters of Salman Khan, they mention him as the big time actor.
He said they all want to be Salman Khan. He says, me, I don't watch movies. I don't need the recognition. So he's from that point on, he's trying to turn Definite on Fazil. He wants him to take him out because if it's his own brother, there'll be no bloodshed. Because this guy's actually really smart. The Ramadir. Oh, yeah, so super smart. They try to turn him on him. So Faisal says, what should I do? And not Faisal. Definite says, what should I do? He said, I'll tell you what to do. So Definite goes like he's gonna meet with them to try to set up his brother. He's like, pulls out the gun. Pulls out a grenade, throws it, and then dips out of there. Ends up blowing up the place and blowing up Ramadir's son's leg. His leg is taken off of it. Like, this kid is a real legitimate gangster.
He's a wild card.
So after that, Ramadir and his son basically go into hiding because his son survives the explosion. That's when Sultan makes his presence known. Like, now we're gonna go to war because the Ramadir, the Godfather, so to speak, is like, okay, I'm out of here. So there's no one stopping him, and that's when the other things happen. But then, like you said, to your point with the standoff.
That was one of my favorite scenes, because you have the guy who's betraying Faisal, which we all knew he was going to, because his family was killed by the means of Faisal and his gang or whatever. He apparently had forgiven him so that he can work with them, so they can make a lot of money with their whole scheme that they were doing.
Right.
With what was it, the train, the deliveries or something like? What were they making money off again? They went into the adventurous, distracting him from saving Definite from the jail.
It was coal. Then they were selling. Oh, was it metal? They were selling like scrap metal or whatever.
It was something where this guy was like, we can make so much money.
Right.
With the auctions. It was something with the auctions or whatever, where they're basically like, we own this stuff now, and none of you guys are gonna get it unless you give it to us and you pay us. Anyways, they're making a hand over fist, and so that guy who used to work for Ramadir, who got screwed over by Faisal earlier, he's on Faisal's side, and he's talking about the election, like, hey, let's go to this place and let's pray before. Okay, that sounds good. And so they go out to this area where it's vacant, and then all of a sudden someone shoots at his brother-in-law or his friend, the guy with the big old beard, shoots at him, and he's like, oh man, we're getting under fire. So him and the guy who's going to betray him is behind the wall, and then that guy busts out a gun. I thought, oh man, Faisal's going to die right now.
He's going to die right here.
Misses him somehow. Faisal gets away. Definite shows up as the sniper. He comes down on the other side of the building with the guy that used to work for Ramadir.
Yeah, there's a wall there.
Faisal's on this
so
side.
Faisal can't see what's going on.
And I'm like, no, Definite, don't do it. Please don't do it. And then what does he do?
He says, here, hold the rifle. The guy holds the rifle. That's what I said. This kid is so cool. He says, here, hold the rifle. He doesn't know, that I'm here. Here, hold the rifle. The guy holds the rifle. He pulls out his gun. Pops him right in the head so nonchalantly.
And then he comes around and says, hey, Faisal, I'm here.
Hey, Faisal, I'm here for you, okay? They were going to assassinate you. I got you. This kid, man, he's a scene stealer. Every scene with him I loved. And I think, in my opinion, even though I did love, and like you said, this is Faisal's story, I do think he was the best part about this movie.
He was, hands down. And especially when you have the ending scene where he's like, that's it. It's gonna finally happen, because I'm like, how is Ramadir still alive? It's finally gonna happen, and his wife stops him when he's getting in the car and says, "You're gonna be a dad," and he says, "Say hi to my son for me."
Yeah, because he knows I'm not gonna come back from this. I'm either gonna go to jail.
Every time, I'll be back. I promise. Say hi to my son.
Say hi to my son for me. So
this guy is just in that zone of revenge.
He's on a suicide mission because he's gonna go right to Radomir with all his people there, and he's gonna get. This is one of the craziest gun battles I've ever seen.
They storm the castle, so to speak. They go up the winding staircase. They're taking out people. Definite's there helping out. The brother-in-law that was shot earlier is still in the ambulance. They have this whole thing planned out. They go and they storm the castle. And I'm skipping over a lot of this stuff. And then you have Faisal one-on-one with Ramadir, who's hiding in this room in the hospital. And, I mean, he talk about overkill. There's a part in The Last Jedi where Kylo Ren sees Luke Skywalker, and he has all the AT-ATs shooting at him in one place with all those lasers.
Yeah.
Millions of guns forever. Then he stops, and then the commander guy is like, you think you got him?
You think you got him? Well, he walks.
That's what this was. This guy just shoots and shoots.
He walks into the hospital, right? And I mean, he's surgical. He's surgical with that machine gun. I mean, it reminded me of Tony Montana and Scarface. He's walking through. Brah, brah. They're shooting at him. He's just calm. But he waits till they stop reloading. He puts his gun around the corner. Like, this guy is surgical with it. So he finally makes it up to the hospital bed. First, Ramadir's son, the one whose leg is amputated, is there in the bed. He walks right up to him, lifts the thing so he can look at the amputated leg. Puts the gun right to his chest. Oh. That was a gnarly scene. Oh, wow. That was gnarly, man.
Goodbye.
Woo, that was amazing. Then he goes to Ramadir, who's hiding in the next room, who has a gun. Ramadir doesn't even fire a shot. He's a coward.
He's hoping for mercy.
How did he get to become the Godfather if he never even bodied anyone?
Well, remember, he's not the one that killed the grandfather. He had someone else do it.
Yeah, but at some point you would think for him to get power so that his name rang out like the original cons.
Fear. His reign of fear finally ended. His big talk finally ended. But I mean, Faisal goes on and on by shooting, and getting closer and more and getting closer and more. I mean, there's not enough blood in Hollywood to be able to compensate for all of that.
It was a waste of bullets at that point.
To his own detriment, because then the other group shows up, the cops show up, and they take out all of his men. They take him, and I mean, who's still standing, right?
And they are all arrested, right?
Now, Definite, did he get away or did he get arrested? Did he survive or did he get killed too? Because he actually helped. Didn't he go in there and shoot Faisal at the end? He betrays him at the end.
Faisal, I mean, Definite and the other guy that's with him get arrested along with when the cops come.
But he shoots Faisal in the ambulance, right?
Not in the ambulance. They're in the squad car because the cops have them. So you see all of a sudden they're sitting right by each other, next side by side, and Faisal's kind of looking out the window, like, man, just kind of contemplating what everything or reflecting on everything that's happened. And then all of a sudden you look, when the shot comes back, it's really, really quick. You notice that Definite's not there, and all of a sudden in slow motion, boom, Faisal gets shot. So there was the setup. So you kind of knew at some point Definite was going to set him up and he was going to turn on him. But I thought, well, no, because he helped his brother out in the hospital. He's not going to do it. No, the old man, Ramadir, if anything else, he wasn't a brave man. He wasn't a courageous man. He wasn't intimidated, but he was smart. He said Faisal will get killed by his own brother Definite because Definite wants to be Faisal.
But notice
and that's what happened.
Definite allowed Faisal to take all the other
He let him do the work
competition
for him.
out.
He let him do the work for him. And who's there with Definite when it happens? At the end, remember Definite's walking away after
his mom.
His mom is getting. She had so much malice in her heart, so much hate. Even when she went to go visit Definite in jail, she said, I didn't raise a coward. I raised a killer. You're supposed to be a killer.
That reminds me though, so sad what happens to Faisal's mom though.
That's what really made this.
They're just out there at the shops and they just get gunned down and everything.
It was reminiscent of the first Godfather when Michael was in church and Michael's in church and the baby shower and people are getting killed all over the place. That's what happened here. They set him up because they were going to try to take out Faisal, and they took out. You're not supposed to even kill women, and this is the second time. Sultan actually killed his own sister too, which was one of the things that made this.
Man, she lets him
worse.
in to get some sanctuary, and he just blows.
It was ruthless. Oh, the one part we forgot. Okay, midway through this movie, now you cut back to the very first scene of Gangs of Wasseypur 1 when. Who is the person they're hunting?
They're trying to go after Faisal. And
It's Sultan with all his minions, and they're going after Faisal, and it shows how Faisal escaped from there.
Were you disappointed with the way he escaped? I was hoping for some. These guys came into my house and started attacking my family.
Right.
I was a little disappointed there weren't some guns in every room just in case this would happen. Now maybe. In this area, this culture or whatever, it's disrespectful to have guns.
No, it's disrespectful to attack somebody's home with their wife and kids there.
You're a gangster though. And then he's on the roof. I'm like, don't kill him right now. Falls off. I mean, it seemed like an 8-foot drop, and he messes up his leg,
broke his ankle.
And I'm like, how in the world is Sultan and his men not have one person go around and just take him out right there? That for me was kind of a weak scene. It really was, because they build it up with the very opening scene of the first part. They get to it, and I'm like, okay, Faisal's not someone you want to mess with. And obviously he gets his revenge at the end, but I was kind of disappointed with it. It did not sustain the build-up.
I think it goes back to the fact that he was in disbelief that anyone would even attack his home, knowing his mother was there, knowing his sister-in-law, who's now widowed, because that was the older brother's Danish's wife. I mean, you just don't kill women, so you don't attack women. And I mean, it was kind of understood where I'm not going to go to your house and do that, and he was just shocked they came at him at his house. I think what he did was smart, though, because he's there. There's the old man who, okay, that was one of his dad's henchmen. Maybe he could help. And then there's a whole bunch of kids and women. A Sultan came with like 10 guys, 15 guys deep. They got grenades. They got guns. Even if he did have a gun, what was he going to do? The smartest thing for him to do was to peel out of there so he could get revenge later once he can get a hold of his people. But at that moment, if he tried to have the OK Corral kind of gun battle, he was gonna same thing that happened to Tony Montana and Scarface when he's killing all those cockroaches like he says in that movie. There's still a lot of those cockroaches. They outnumber you, and eventually you're gonna get overwhelmed. He would have been overwhelmed. So I love that scene. I kill you, cockroaches, and he's just spraying everybody all over the place. But they're still coming. There's tons of them. Oh, so it was smart for him to get out of there, I thought. But no, I mean, for me, that didn't mess it up. All right, man, I tell you what, this movie, the sheer. What's this movie rated? Because that was one thing. This thing can't be TV rated mature. R. TV mature, stop it. With the beheadings, stop it. This had to be like mature, rated X.
But mature is such a broad rating these days where it could be R or it could be way extended. You're not going to get rated X unless it's a whole bunch of nudity, which this does not have.
But have you ever seen this much violence in one movie?
I'm sure I have.
I don't know. I mean,
you ever seen Braveheart before?
I mean, Braveheart was not bad, but I mean, I go back to the beheading. I go back to the brick with the kid and the trains. Oh man!
Hopefully, with our description, this video does not become unwatchable because YouTube community will not allow it. Maybe
they'll be like, it's way too violent, but it's glorious violence, man. I'm ready for a grade.
I'm ready for a grade. Go for it.
I tell you what, it has redeemed itself. This is an A+. This is how you make a movie. I was not.
They redeemed yours.
They redeemed themselves. I was not mad now that the story arc is complete. That ultimately it's still Khan's. Because it's a Khan. He's the son of the Khan. They got revenge like they said they were gonna against, the original Godfather, Radomir. I'm glad he died. I'm glad Sultan died. I'm glad, they tied up all those loose ends. So it felt like a complete story arc. And ultimately, what I like the best about this is you saw that in that life, and that's just a reality. Okay, there's two exits. All right, you're gonna go to jail. You're gonna die. Bottom line, whether you're in the mob, whether you're in a gang, the end of the line is you're gonna end up doing 100 years in jail, or you're gonna die. And you saw that that's what happened to everyone over the 60-year period, because this is a 60-year period it covers, and eventually it's going to happen to Definite. Somebody will take him out too. That's just the life. And like you said, the most powerful line when she says is, you're going to be a father. He knows he's not coming back from this. I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to die. This is a death mission. So you know what? Say hi to my son for me. And I love that part about it. So I give it an A+. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely giving it an A+. I mean, this is one of those films. And again, The Godfather for me is a good comparison. I didn't watch The Godfather until about 3 years ago for the first time. I watched all of them back to back to back. And I watched those movies, totally expected it was going to be underwhelming for me for all the hype. And it wasn't. Those movies, especially the first two, I think the second one might be my favorite. Those ones definitely lit up to the hype for me. These films did the same. I had some problems with some of the conveniences. I had some problems with this or that, but it did not take away from the storytelling. And you had acting, you had grittiness, you had serious filmmaking. I mean, this is easily an A+. I'm glad that I watched it, not because of the violence so much, but because I feel like, again, this is a rite of passage into Indian films. And so excited to finally give you guys our review on it. Thank you so much for requesting it time and time again.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine there's too many other movies like this that are in Indian cinema or even American cinema. There's no movies like Godfather. There's never going to be.
No.
There's movies that are mob-esque that are good, but they're not going to be The Godfather. And so there's our review. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. If you've been here the entire near 40 minutes, then thank you so much. We appreciate your loyalty. We love bringing these reviews to you. And until next time,
I know all things.